Hey, FanboyNation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
FanboyNation.
Dot. I assume Tom.
Hey, FanboyNation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
You're watching.
We're watching. You're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy. Fanboy.
Fanboy.
Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
FanboyNation.
Dot. I assume Tom.
Castor Fernandez and Dan Johnston. We are talking about Cowboy Cartel today, premiering on Apple TV Plus August 2nd. This is an intense documentary, and none of the FBI agents really understood how deep they were going to get involved in this. And who would have thought, and this is the spoiler because it's in the trailer, that horse trading would be the ultimate money laundering?
Scott Lawson.
Yes. Yeah, Scott figured it out himself. Scott's the feature of the docuseries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you guys following this case as it was unveiled and realized that this would be something worth telling, or was this presented to you by Apple TV Plus? Like, how did this whole thing come about? Because, you know, the FBI is the FBI and they know how to keep secrets.
Well, it's a federally prosecuted case in Austin in 2013, I believe it was. We weren't aware of the investigation. I'd finished a feature doc about horse racing, and a friend of mine called me and he said, if you like horse stories, I've got one for you. I read Joe's book. I read Melissa Del Bosque's book. Dan and I had been friends for a long time. Creatively, I think he's unmatched as a visionary. And he just finished a series called American Cartel. So the stars aligned, for lack of a better phrase. And we partnered up, and, you know, I think we put together a really compelling 4-part series here.
Now, when you guys deal with something like this, what about your own safety? You know, we know about Gary Webb when he exposed the federal government of the United States in the 90s, and Gary committed suicide. We'll put it that politely. You know, now, you know, what about you guys? Because Los Zetas wasn't an easy group to deal with.
I think, you know, we always have to be cognizant when you're telling stories about criminal organizations, especially one as deadly and as big as this. But we're not the ones that took the risk. The people that took the risk are the people, the law enforcement and the journalists that lived it day to day, that had threats upon their lives, and that still to this day are saying that this is an important enough story that we will come out front and we will talk about it. So yeah, you're always cognizant about it, but they're the ones that lived it. They're the ones that shone through it and believed in themselves.
And you know what, RC, early in the process, we had secured participation from all federal agents, and we'd managed to get in touch with someone who had been indicted and gone to prison from Los Zetas. And we were having a phone call with him on a cell phone in a parking lot, and he decided that he would meet with us. And this was a scary moment for Dan and I. And we asked, you know, where do you want to meet? And we're expecting longitude, latitudes, a white van, sacks over your head. And he goes, do you know the AMC at the mall in downtown Austin? Yeah. Do you know Cheesecake Factory? Like, yeah. Like, let's meet at the Cheesecake Factory. And we thought, you know, that's kind of something that turned what we thought cartel was on its head. And we're sitting there having a pasta bolognese or whatever it is with a convicted and indicted member of the cartel. And in that case, you learn that in many instances, people are people. You know, a lot of times we have archetypes or conceptions of what people are like, but in this case, that was probably our scariest, which then led into our funniest story.
It's Texas. Whataburger would have been more appropriate.
Whataburger would have been equally unlikely a place to meet with a cartel member.
Yeah, but when you meet with said person, and you know they're essentially in the witness protection program, you know you're constantly looking over your shoulder as well. There has to be something as the directors of this documentary that you're iffy about it. And then Scott's face being revealed throughout the documentary. Is Scott retired at this point? You know, how does
he's still an active agent. Yeah. No, I think in those situations, you know, we were never trying to glorify any of the crime in this series in any way, shape, or form. And that wasn't hard because there's nothing glorious about it. There's nothing heroic about it. And in those situations, we met with people and we agreed to meet with this person because we thought they had an angle and something for us to learn from. And of course, we checked it. with our law enforcement partners, and we were safe about it. But you always want to learn the story. You want to, like Castor said, you want to hear the human side of the story. You want to hear people's motivations, and it only deepens our understanding, which ultimately helps the telling of the documentary.
Well, the docuseries is fantastic. I sat down and watched all 4 hours at once.
Wow.
Usually I'll break it up into two viewings, but this was so powerful that I was like, I have to watch all 4 back to back. Whittle it down to those 4 hours. How do you decide what to leave out? Because virtually everything seems so important in dealing with a true crime case.
I mean, it's a long process of storytelling and creatively wrestling with each other. But we when you have a complex story like this, the enemy is details, but then also the glory of it is details. You have to understand, like, are people going to pay attention? Are they going to listen? Is it going to move people? Are they going to keep their attention? So, Castor has a brilliant instinct for that. I have an okay instinct for that. So we just work it out together.
It's an exciting story, RC. In a lot of ways, we just had to do our best to stay out of the way. We follow the chronology of the investigation. And as you see over the 4 parts, it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And that was Scott's experience. It starts off with a rookie FBI agent and ends up with one of the largest takedown of cartel and FBI history. And we're there along for the ride. And I mean, you can't make that up.
Right. Like if Tom Clancy had wrote this and it was a made up story, I'd be like, get the hell out of here. No, none of this is believable, including your story right now. Oh, we met at Cheesecake Factory. Really? And then come to find out, no, this is all real. And this is how it really broke down, is just mind boggling to I can't even put it in words at this point.
And for us, I know Dan agrees, having the participation of Scott and Steve and Yunker and Brian and Ginger and Michelle and Joe, that's really what makes the story sing. It's one thing for us to tell people what happened. It's another thing for them to tell people what happened.
And what was their reaction in seeing the final product? Were there any details like, you could have put this back in to at least, make it a little switch here or something like that, because you guys got, obviously, I don't know all the details. They lived it. So did they feel that anything was missing?
Well, RC, everyone's a filmmaker. So, they've all got their opinions, but no, we've had only positive support. But
right. We all look through that little window and go, I could have done better while we're sitting at home sucking down Cheetos.
I always joke that one of my icebreakers with law enforcement is, I can promise you that everybody thinks that they can do each of our jobs, and they'll tell you.
Yeah, I don't want to do law enforcement's job, and God bless them for what they were able to pull off. It's an incredible feat, especially with a rookie officer like Scott. You said Scott is active, but Scott was also willing to show his face on this. How does something like that, trying to go undercover yet again, or do you just sit there and go, all right, this is the biggest bust ever, I'm going to go and get a desk job at this point?
You'd have to ask the FBI about that one, but I think he trusted that this story should be told because of the team and the people that he did it with. And there are some people that do not show their face in the documentary. They gave us their support and their blessing, but they were like, I still live in this area, or I'm still active, like I cannot show my face. But Scott, testament to him and his integrity, is like, this is an important story to tell, so I'm going to tell it up front. All 6 or 5 of them.
And I tell you what, I still talk to Scott at least once a month. We text bi-weekly. And we're not the first person to have approached him or the FBI to tell this story. And he and the FBI had said no to a lot of filmmakers. So we feel really fortunate that for whatever reason, they put their trust in us. And I think we delivered something that, if they do have complaints, I think in the end, the FBI and the men and women who were part of this investigation come out looking like the heroes that they were.
Well, I mean, they are heroes in this instance, especially bringing this down. It's easier as a viewer from this side to go, oh, wow, I can't believe how hard it was for them. It's different from them experiencing it and you guys documenting it. So congratulations on all fronts. When it comes out, is it gonna be one episode released on the weekly, or are we gonna get 2 and 2?
I think all of them come out at the same time.
All of them come out at the same time, because sometimes they split it up week to week. And you know, with this is a watch that you're going to sit down and watch all the way through. You know, how does Scott feel about this at the end, and you know, still being active and go, you know, as his accomplishment? It was like, all right, that was a big deal, but that was, you know, the 2010s. Here we are, 2020s. Let's move forward and go to the next case.
I think Scott will tell you, he will tell you this story and not include himself in it in the entire time. He will tell it through everybody else's lens, and he'll be last. He's very proud of it. I know he's proud of the work, but he's proud of it because of the team that did it with him. And I think we did him justice in bringing that to the fore.
Scott's level of honor and his internal moral compass is unlike anything I've really seen, to the extent that the confidential informant featured in the series is someone that Scott promised he would never say his name. And when you watch that series, Scott never says his name. He says confidential informant. Even though other people are saying it, he made a promise. Man, that's pretty cool. You know, he's the real deal when it comes down to that. And the same goes for everyone else involved. It's very rare that you have this level of high achievers and this level of do-gooders get together for a common goal and not give up over 3 years.
Gentlemen, before I let you go, if there's one specific thing we should focus in on as a life lesson from Cowboy Cartel, what should it be?
Don't give up.
A single person can make a difference.
Yeah.
I love it. Gentlemen, Cowboy Cartel comes to Apple TV Plus August 2nd. Congratulations on a fantastic docuseries. I can't wait to see what you guys pull off next, because if this 4-parter was that enthralling, I can only imagine what they'll do when they give you a 6-episode one.
Thanks, RC.
Thank you.